America cannot determine the future of Egypt. That's a task for the Egyptian people. We don't take sides with any particular party or political figure. I know it's tempting inside of Egypt to blame the United States or the West or some other outside actor for what's gone wrong.
Welcome to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. That was President Obama in these last hours condemning the continuing violence in Egypt, where we know now that 525 people at least are dead and scores more are injured. Global View columnist Bret Stephens joins me now to talk about where these protests could go, Bret. They've centered mostly around Cairo, but could it spread throughout the country?
Oh, and I think it is spreading. It's spreading to the outer suburbs of Cairo. It's going to Alexandria. You've seen systematic violence by Islamists, by the Muslim Brotherhood against Christian Copts, whom they have a religious animus against, but also accused of being on the side of the generals. Look, I think where it's going in a larger sense is Algeria. Remember that in 1991, there was an election in Algeria. The Islamists won. The military preempted the Islamists. They never even got to power the way they did in Egypt. And what resulted was 10 years of an incredibly brutal civil war, which the military eventually did win, but at a tremendous cost. Algeria was a kind of black hole for that decade. And I think that's what we're going to we might be looking at fairly soon in Egypt itself. The Brotherhood isn't going to back down. They wanted this to happen. They wanted this to happen, and the military isn't going to back down. It's a zero-sum game. Both sides are fighting for their life. You know,
Hoover scholar Fouad Ajami wrote on our pages this morning that dictatorship rests on a measure of consent, by which he means the liberal elites in Egypt wanted this to happen. Do you agree with him?
Oh, I think that's right. And Fouad is a very astute observer of Egypt, even if I don't entirely agree with his piece this morning. I mean, when you speak about liberals in Egypt, it's really the so-called liberals, okay? Because there never really was a liberal center in Egypt. There's Samuel Tadros, whom I think you've had on this show, has made the point that unlike the Western liberals who emerged from a bourgeoisie who were not on the side of, weren't members of the state, liberalism emerged in Egypt as sort of part of the civil service, part of government bureaucracy. So it's never been antagonistic to the uses of government power. Now what you see are what I guess you would call the secular side of Egyptian society, although General Sisi is himself quite an observant Muslim, who are trying to hold a line against a Muslim Brotherhood that really was in the process of becoming its own dictatorship before the coup of last month.
In this process of suppressing the Muslim Brotherhood, what happens to other minorities in Egypt, like the Copts or others? Are they also targets
tragically,
too?
I mean, people forget the Copts were in Egypt from the earliest days of Christianity. I mean, really, from the very beginning of Christianity, centuries before Islam arrived. Their days are numbered. Like other Christian communities in Iraq, in Lebanon, throughout the Middle East and Syria, they are heading for the exits. I think 100,000 Copts have left Egypt in the last year or so. That number is going to rise. Also because Copts tend to be wealthier, they have exit options, they can afford to get out. And that's just one of the many tragedies taking place here.
Could this violence that we're seeing today in Cairo spread outside of the country's borders? You already have so much unrest in Syria, in Lebanon, and elsewhere. Or is it something that's contained, that's an intra-Egypt
Well, there was
battle?
an interesting story that got very little press in the last few days. Israel allegedly launched a drone attack in the Sinai Peninsula because the Israelis are now being threatened by jihadist groups who are operating virtually without restraint throughout that very large peninsula. The Sinai is not a small place. And the Egyptian military sanctioned the Israeli attack, or so it seems, sanctioned the Israeli attack on these Islamists. So it's already pushing into Gaza. It's pushing into Israel's southern borders. You know, the borders of Egypt are very porous, and one of the problems is that since Libya, weapons have been pouring in. All those weapons arms caches are coming in to Egypt. Cairo is just awash in Kalashnikovs and other kinds of arms, and those are going to be used.
It's a tragic situation. We're going to keep an eye on it. Global View columnist Bret Stephens.
Thank you.